We all have challenges, setbacks in our personal and professional lives. But how do we turn that setback into a comeback?
Welcome to Fordify Live with your host, Ford Saeks.
Well, our guest today to help us turn setbacks into a comeback is my friend and colleague, nationally, internationally known, Dr. Willie Jolley. He's a Hall of Fame keynote speaker. You can learn about him online. You can just Google Willie Jolley. You'll see him all over YouTube and social media, famously on his radio show and everything else. But if you're listening to this on the Business Growth Podcast, you can check him out online at winwithwillie, WILLIE.com. Dr. Willie Jolley, welcome to today's episode of Fordify.
Well, my dear friend, it's a privilege and a pleasure, a treat and a treasure, a joy beyond measure for me to be on with my friend Ford Saeks. And for those who know me, know I start every XM show, every interview, every speech with this poem called God's Minute. I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it. I didn't seek it, I did not choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it, just a tiny little minute, but our eternities are wrapped up in it. So I'm grateful for this minute, this moment, this opportunity to be on with my friend Ford Saeks, who is one of the great speakers in our industry and one of my dear friends.
Well, thank you, Willie. I mean, I think we just need to clap for that just because I think we can end the episode right now. But let's continue this. Now, you're known, and I've known you for decades, and I've seen you and I've shared the stage with you around the globe. You're really known. So, you're a true motivational speaker. Like, there's a lot of speakers that call themselves motivational speakers because that's what meeting planners look for. But really, you're one of the tops. You're one of the greats. And you've been known for how to turn, you're famous for how do you turn a setback into a comeback. That's your brand. So those of you listening, if you've ever heard any other speaker say it, let me tell you, it was Dr. Willie Jolley who's coined that. Where do people go? Where should they start if they're faced with challenges in their lives right now, their personal lives, their business life as an executive? We've got franchise brands and leaders and solopreneurs on this episode today. Where should someone go to start to navigate those challenges that we all are faced with today?
Well, thank you for that great question. And I think what I should do as I answer that question, give those who might not be familiar with me a little bit about my story. So
yeah, please, let's start the foundation.
Some foundational information. I was a nightclub singer. Many people heard me on jingles as well for Pizza Hut, making it great, and other jingles around the country, but I made my money from nightclubs, and I became one of the top nightclub singers in Washington, D.C., Atlantic City. And then one day I settled into the Washington area, built one of the top nightclub spots in D.C., and things were going great. I mean, we had people line up at 7 o'clock for the 8 o'clock show, 9 o'clock for the 10 o'clock show. We won all the awards for best singer, best entertainer, best performer. Things were going great, but we got caught up in a fad. One day the club owner said, we're going to try something new because it's a lot cheaper than live entertainment and everybody's doing it. It's called karaoke. And I said, but what about my bills? And I learned nobody cares about your bills but you and the people you owe. And I went home and told my wife I'm going to do something. That's right. And I went home and told my wife I'm going to do something else. I took a job with the Washington, D.C. public school system as a drug prevention coordinator. And part of my job was to give speeches. And I started speaking to these little kids. It went really well because I was an entertainer and I was not afraid of audiences, and I had a captivating style. For the little kids, the teachers would say, can you come to my teachers group? And someone there would say, can you come to my church? And someone there would say, can you come to my company? And I started speaking for more and more corporations and organizations around the country and around the world. Then Les Brown heard about me and invited me to be on tour with him and Gladys Knight in the music and motivation tour. They opened and invited me to meet some media people. I got a little radio show, and it got popular and got syndicated. Now you can hear me every day across America on syndicated radio with the Wake Up When Win with Dr. Willie Jolley feature. Then that led to Sirius XM, where Ford just mentioned in my radio show, where most people know me. I have the #1 self-help show in the country, the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show on Sirius XM. And that led to a book publisher hearing me on the radio and saying, I love your ideas. Have you ever thought about writing a book? And I said, no, I never thought about it. He said, let me make you an offer. I said, I just thought about it. So I wrote a book called It Only Takes a Minute, Changing Life, became a national bestseller. Then A Setback is a setup for a Comeback became a global bestseller, then turned Setbacks into Greenbacks, then An Attitude of Excellence, and then the new book with my wife, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, a marriage book. We've been married going on 40 years, haven't had an argument in over 35 years. And so all of that started happening. Then in 1990, hey, there you go. 1999, I was named one of the top 5 speakers in the world by Toastmasters. And then the next year, Motivational Inspirational Speaker of the Year by Toastmasters. And then in 2005, I was inducted in the Speaker Hall of Fame. 2013, inducted into the Veteran Speakers Network. Then I was named one of the top 5 leadership speakers. And this year, I'm honored that in January I was given the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. Thank you very much. And then in July of 2023, given the Cabot Award, which is the highest award in the speaking industry. And all of that happened, Ford, because I had a setback. I got fired. And so the lessons here are, first, folks, there are 4 steps to turning setbacks into comeback. Number 1, you must maintain a positive vision of your future. You got to see where you fit in the future, and it's a good place. So you got to start working and forecasting and predicting and expecting good things. So first is a vision. Then make the decision to act on that vision. You must act on the vision. Decision is taken from the Greek word to cut. So if you make an incision, you cut in. You make a decision, you cut off. You got to cut off negative people, negative places, negative things, negative thinking. And you must embrace positive thinking, positive people, people who are going to encourage you. So vision, decision, action. You must take action every day toward the goal that you have put out there. Whatever it is, I don't care how crazy it may sound, how ridiculous, how impossible. I sing the impossible dream at the end of my speeches, and I encourage people to dream the impossible dream, because only those who dream the impossible will do the incredible. And so you got to have a vision, you got to make decisions, you got to take action, then you got to have desire, because there will be setbacks, there will be obstacles, but those who want it bad enough, if the dream is big enough and you want it bad enough, nothing can stop you. So I'm encouraging people, vision, decision, action, desire, and change your life. It change companies. Many companies now work with me because they know that in 2006, I got a call from Ford Motor Company. They wanted to bring up bankruptcy. They brought in Alan Mulally, who they had tasked to turn the company around. He said, we got to change the thinking of our employees. And one of the guys said, there's a guy named Willie Jolley who wrote a book, A Setback Seller for a Comeback. I heard him speak. We should hire him and bring him in. So they brought me in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. Ford's the only one of the big 3 automakers to reject a government bailout. They go from losing $1 million a month to making $1 billion a month in a bad economy. What changed? Thinking. So setbacks can be turned into great comebacks, amazing comebacks, if you employ these tenets and these tactics and these strategies. Vision, decision, action, desire, and then you make sure that you create some powerful, positive stimuli to keep people going when things get tough, because they will. That's life. And so encourage them. Every day I send out daily 1-minute motivational messages globally, 1-minute messages that take from my radio show. We do a video version, and people can go to winwithwillie.com and sign up for the newsletter. Every day, just a 1-minute message to keep you going, because there will be days when life throws you curveballs. There will be days when something attracts you. I call it the devastating D's of life. You might be downsized like I was, or you might be given a diagnosis, or you might have a disease, or you might have the death of a loved one, or you might have a disaster in your life like a hurricane or a tornado. Right. I don't know what's going to happen. Everything in life is secular. So, those are circles. So we realize that stuff is going to happen, but you can get past it. I'm a man of faith, and it says in the Bible that it came to pass. What I tell people, it did not come to stay. It came to pass. It came to go. Right. Your job is to keep moving through it. And so that's what we want to encourage your listeners and your viewers and folks who follow you. And by the way, anybody who follows Ford Saeks is wise. They are wise.
You're too kind.
He's one of the It's true. He's one of the greatest thinkers. When I have a problem, who do I call? Ford. I do
get texts from time to time, so I do get them. So.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you're wise, folks, to be listening to him. I would encourage you to subscribe to his podcast and then tell your friends to do the same.
Well, Willie, I really appreciate this. Now, in the green room, we were working on it, and we were starting with the introduction, and we had some technical difficulties. So I'm glad we were able to work all those things out. And I was thinking, here I go. I'm going to have a setback right now. I'm going to need a comeback. So real quick, for those listening, you need to have a positive vision. You need to have decisions, and you need to cut off the other choices, cut off the negativity people. I know our good friend Les Brown used to talk about OQP, only quality people. I mean, I learned that back in the 90s with you guys. And then, of course, you got to take action. I think that, when someone asks me what's the one thing that is, if I had to do one skill, I'm known from saying it's not what you know, it's how well you execute. And it's something, when I say that to an audience, I'm saying it to myself. Right? Because I should be making more sales calls. I should be writing more articles. I should be doing more interviews. All the different things that we need to do. And then, of course, desire. You've got to have the want. The people who are successful, the businesses that are successful, the leaders, the organizations aren't necessarily the best quality product. They're the ones that follow those things. They have a vision. They make a decision to act. They take action. And more importantly, they have to have the desire. We've all seen restaurants that had good food that went out of business. And it wasn't because their food wasn't any good. It's they didn't really have the desire to do all the other things they needed to do to make sure that they were visible. And it's the same thing in our colleagues that we know in the National Speakers Association. You and I are both Hall of Fame speakers, and there's less than 200 in the world that have been given that. Now, the CAVIT, Willie rattled off a few of his accolades. Everybody needs to understand the CAVIT is the highest award that's been given out, and only it's given out to one person annually, to the top of the top, the best of the best, which is the echelon in this industry. So, for those of you, a shameless plug for Willie, if you've got an organization that they need to rethink, reframe, reboot, recharge, then check out Dr. Willie Jolley. Go to winwithwillie.com. It's not a shameless plug. I love it when I'm on programs because I'm known for, high strategy, high content. I'm not a motivational speaker. Sure, I hope I'm inspirational and I inspire people to take action. But there's a big difference between the mindset piece. And what I tell people is all the strategies, tactics in the world won't help if you don't have the mindset piece. And that's the part that Willie helps organizations solve. Because, again, all the training, all the strategies, all the other tools won't help if they don't have their attitude on right. And that's where I know you're known for going into organizations, whether it's leadership, management, team building, change, communication, diversity, anything that they're dealing with in their organization from a cultural standpoint. You're just the top of the top. And I love it. I'm glad to call you my friend.
Well, thank you. And what we tell people is we help you win more. That's what, in a short statement, that's what it's winwithwillie.com. But we help people win more in many different verticals. We do it in, of course, the corporate arena with major fortune companies, whether it's Walmart, Verizon, Coca-Cola South Africa, Prudential Malaysia. We go all around the world doing that. But we also help people win in their personal life. My wife and I have been married, as I said, for going on 40 years.
You can say her name. Come on, Dee. Is she listening in the background?
Her name is Dee. Dee is fantastic. And we've been married for 40 years. We have a Monday night show called Jolly Marriage Show that people can access on Facebook Live, Twitter Live, LinkedIn Live. If you just follow us on jollymarriage.com, or you can go to YouTube and just look up Jolly Marriage. We wrote a book called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, 10 Secrets to Shape a Great Marriage. And we encourage people to stay together, to work through their marriages. And we're trying to save marriages because many times the marriages break up for just a little stress fracture that's not dealt with, and it just gets bigger and bigger. And before you know it, it's such a chasm, it's almost impossible to close. But we've had people who were on their way to divorce, or some who had actually filed for divorce, and we said, get 2 copies of the book, and y'all just read it before you make that final decision. and we have 100% of people who we've given that to who are back together. So it works. So the book is very powerful, and we're grateful. So we want to help you win in your personal life, your professional life, your family life, with your kids who might be acting like they're crazy, have lost their mind. We've had crazy. We've had crazy kids too. I mean, maybe everybody else got perfect kids. I don't. Okay,
no,
I got one too. Sometimes. All right, so we got crazy kids sometimes. Or you might just have challenges, setbacks, the diagnosis, the disease, difficulty, disaster, death of a loved one. We help you even win with that. I talk about in my messages about when in 2001. I mean, in 2002. I lost my mother, my father, my brother, and my father-in-law in 30 days. And how we got through that, and strategies to help people through the tough moments in life. The really tough moments have nothing to do with business. And so that's what we want to help people win in every facet, every area. And that's why if you go to that site, you'll see music, you'll see winwithwillie.com, you'll see music, you'll see lots of different sites. Motivation for your teenagers, to get them motivated. We got motivation for your families, faith-based motivation, business motivation. We got helping you if you want to be a speaker. We got all sorts of resources there to help people, because I really am, I'm sincere, and I'm excited, and I'm focused on helping people. And I really do see it as ministry. That my doctorate is in ministry, and I have a master's degree in theology and doctorate in ministry. I just chose not to become a preacher, but rather, as Al McCree, one of our friends, his wife wrote her doctoral paper on the secular preachers, myself and Les Brown, and the fact that we take it to the marketplace. And I love what Les said about it. He said, preachers preach Jesus. We preach the message that Jesus preached.
That's
Love
right.
people, help people, just encourage people, inspire them, lift them when they're down, and take them by the hand and let them know you're going to be all right. That's what we preach, that's what we teach, and that's what we try and inspire and help people get motivated, and companies to get motivated to grow their people so their people can grow their profits. And that's what we want to help them do.
Well, I know we've got listeners. If anybody has any questions or comment, make sure below. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and a few other spots. So answer your questions below. We'll either answer them after the live episode or during the live episode. If we see it, we'll be chatting it. I'm curious. So in all those different things, and again, we've all had those setbacks, and like you had, that was an enormous setbacks when everything, all that happened in one year. What do you suppose is the most important mistake people make in their thinking? Because you specialize in this area. I have an answer. I have a thought, not an answer. But what do you suppose is the biggest challenge that people have that prevents them from seeing the opportunities that are in front of them?
Well, that's a great question. And the answer is, you probably would say the same thing. It is limited vision of their future and a lack of belief in themselves and the possibility. They don't give it a shot. They talk themselves out of the possibility before they even give it a shot. They say it will never work. That won't work. They're having negative conversation. Remember that statistics show that over 70% of self-talk is negative. That we talk, unless you have programmed your mind very distinctly. I wake up every morning listening to positive material. I speak to myself in a positive. I have affirmations every day. I know I've got to offset that negative talk that wants to jump in. And so I think that's the biggest mistake, is people don't fill themselves up with the pure, the powerful, and the positive. They let the television program their mind. They let the negative. They watch reality TV, which is nothing but drama, and then they wonder why their life is full with drama. Whatever you put in is what you will put out. Whatever you consume is what you will become. And so I think that's the biggest mistake, is a lack of positive thinking. And what would you say, though?
I would only add to that, in general, from a layman's point of view. The starting thing is closed mind versus open mind. And we're not talking about Carol DeWick's book Mindset. But if they're not open to the possibility, and that what you just described is all the different ways that it manifests itself, and the people that hang around and their self-talk, their belief systems. For me, growing up, without any parents, an orphan, and I grew up in the projects, not like Leston and Liberty City or anything like that. Like, let's be very, very careful here. I never missed a meal, everybody. So be very careful what I'm saying. I'm not playing the victim card by no stretch of the imagination, but I'm just saying that at a very young age, I had a turning point in my life when something significant, I had a significant emotional event that changed the course from a little hoodlum carrying a 9mm to starting a business and starting to get rewarded by positive behavior. So that was at 15 years old. My life was on a very negative track. Everybody told me I was going to die before I was 25. And, I was a bad kid as kids go, but I was conditioned that way. And it wasn't until I got new conditioning where I realized that I didn't have to follow that old programming. And so I had a significant emotional event, which is I could see SEE, and it changed my perspective. And ever since that time, I read a lot of books. I can see I have a lot of books, including yours behind me. I listen to YouTube videos on the way I have YouTube Premium, so I can listen to YouTube in the car, but I have the screen off, so I can listen to them and there's no ads. And so I go to bed at night with meditation. I have affirmations. Our good friend, Dr. Neil Cobain was on the show, and High Point University sends out motivational things. You have your motivational minutes. I love those types of things because it just comes at the right time. It seems like those messages are written just for me. Like when I listen to you on your show, I'm like, you're speaking to me. Like, how did you know? Where's the camera? I mean, I know there's AI and stuff, but it's like Dr. Willie is Jolley is above my head, knowing exactly what's going on in my mind. So I think that it's a long road to a tiny house right there, but I would say it's closed mind because we all know people that we've tried to help. We've given them the resources. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And if they're negative, I mean, people happens in relationships all the time, whether it's a business relationship or personal. Those negative people, that's what I learned back from Les when I was working with him in the early 90s, was some people, you just have to free them up for new opportunities and get them out of your life, because you can spend all your life trying to carry somebody else, but they don't want to be helped. Did you agree?
Absolutely. One of the things I recently launched my new one-man show theatrical experience. We hopefully will have it touring at some point. We started it in Washington, D.C., and we did it every Saturday night, and it was such a success. People can kind of learn more about it at thecomebackshow.com, But a couple things that you just said really resonated with me. In this show, I tell the story in real time of my setback and the comeback, and the fact that I will sing in the jazz scene. I'll sing some jazz, and then I'll do some of the faith-based music that inspired me when I was at my lowest, when I got fired from that karaoke machine and didn't know what I was going to do. But also in there, I talk about the fact that you got to do a few things if you're going to turn your setbacks into comebacks. And you got to, one, overcome your self-limiting beliefs. Yep. You got to overcome you, the person. And then you got to stop hanging around with negative people. You got to make that decision, not hanging around. And number three, you got to make the decision you're going to overcome your fears, because your fears will limit you, whatever they are. Your fears are ingrained. You got two fears you were born with, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises, but you've learned fears over the years. You've learned about the fear of darkness, the fear of height. Those are learned behaviors. And so what we have to do is overcome our fears, or our fears will overcome us. And they limit us. They keep us down. They shackle us. And what I am encouraging people to do in this show is to jump and grow wings on the way. I got one more product I got. It's on the Win with Willie. Is my power book. It's a music book, a book of music. It's a book of music. And one of the songs I did a cover of is I Hope You Dance. I love that song. And at the end, I tell the story. You've heard the story. Apollinaris, come to the edge. But I'm afraid. I'm afraid. Come to the edge, but I might fall. Come to the edge. And he came to the edge. And he pushed him. And Apollinaris flew. We have to understand that stuff happens, life happens, it's challenging and it's difficult, but those who are willing to overcome their fears, give it a shot, take flight, often they will fly. They will fly. Now, of course, not literally fly, but they will soar in their career, in their business. And they'll say, look at what I was able to do. Look, you're looking at a guy who really playing above his head. Consistently playing.
You married up, too, just saying.
Oh, God, did I marry up? I really married up.
Sorry, didn't mean to derail.
No, it's true. How am I supposed to have that woman? I'm playing above my head, man. I'm playing out of my league. But I keep trying. I keep giving it a shot. And then I look and she's married to me. What? I can't believe that. And then my business, this is a guy who was a nightclub singer. And now I'm one of the top 5 speakers in the world. I travel all over the world. I'm helping companies. They pay me. I got a one-man show. I got a top-rated Sirius XM show. I got best-selling books. And this is the guy who barely got out of high school.
Yep.
This is because I kept saying, don't let your fears limit you. And just keep playing above your head. I'm encouraging that your best is yet to come. I'm encouraging everybody to have that kind of attitude. That there's good out there. I'll tell a quick story I usually share at the end of my speeches because it's really just a transformational moment in my life. I love what you said about having a emotional event that could shift your life and change your life. When I was a new speaker, I was really struggling because I had no books, no tapes, no television, no radio, no credentials to be a speaker. I'd make sales calls and people say, I've never heard of you before. Bam! Slam the phone in my face. I'd get discouraged because, wow, no one likes rejection. Sometimes it takes me a day or two to get myself together to make more calls. Well, one morning I'm making my calls. First person I talked to, the guy says, hey, I like the way you're talking. I'm having a meeting. I need a speaker. You'd be perfect. I said, oh, great. He said, are you available? Yeah. He told me the budget. It was more than I usually charge. I said, great. He said, I'm going to send you a round trip ticket. We're looking forward to seeing you. I went to Orlando, Florida, gave the speech. They gave me a standing ovation. They gave me my check. I was ecstatic. I went there, finished meeting and greeting people, and went on back to the airport. Got on the flight, feeling good. Flight takes off, feeling good. Pulled that check out a second time. But when I looked at it the second time for it, I got depressed because that money was already allocated. It was gone. I owed everybody. I owed the water company, the electric company. I owed everybody. I started having a pity party right there in my seat in B-22. This older gentleman across the aisle must have sensed I was struggling. He struck up a conversation. He told me he was a minister. He lectured every day in a different city about health and wealth. I said, you speak every day? Yes. You fly every day? Yeah. We talked for a few more minutes. Then he asked me a question that changed the trajectory of my future. He said, young man, how old do you think I am? I looked him up and down. I said, sir, I think you're about maybe 60. He smiled. He took off his glasses. He looked me dead in the eye. He said, young man, I'm 88 years old. I'm 88, and my best is yet to come. Woo! In that moment, everything shifted. If an 88-year-old man could have the optimism to believe that his best days were in front of him and not behind him, what did I have to whine and cry and complain about? I went home with a new attitude, and I got on that phone and started making sales calls. And if people say no, I say next. Mm-hmm. If they say, I'm not interested in what you got, I say, you're not the right one. Well, 30 years have gone by. I've been inducted in the Speaker Hall of Fame. I've been named one of the top 5 speakers in the world. I've been a winner of the Cavett Award. I got best-selling books, television, radio, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. And I came here to say to all the folks who listen to Ford Saeks, your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Go on my belief in you until yours kicks in. Take it and say that Willie Jolley told me I could do this. I'm going to give it a shot. And let me tell you, you're going to be amazed how many of those shots you're going to start to come to fruition. Your best is yet to come.
Well, that is, I'm going to just wrap up the show because it's been amazing. So we go live, everybody, Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Central, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and of course we go on other platforms. Willie, seriously, man, I appreciate the time you spent to join me on this. I took a bunch of notes, and just for those people watching, I love it when I can bring colleagues on where I walk away. Like I tell people, and I've said on other episodes, I'm doing this show for me. Like I'm going through some stuff with my agency. I'm doing some other things. And I'm like, yeah, I got to change my attitudes because again, I have to drink my own medicine, right? It's not what I know. It's how well am I executing? No meaning next and taking an attitude. So the action steps are go sign up for Willie's podcast or go get a subscription to the podcast. Make sure you check him out online. If you're interested in bringing him in, go to winwithwillie.com. You can find him everywhere because he's famous. I really appreciate you taking the time and joining us today. Thank you so much, Willie.
Ford Saeks, I think the world of you. I think you're such a great model, and I tell people your story of being a juvenile delinquent who made a decision to change his life. We need to hear, for folks, particularly in urban markets, the kids to hear your story, and I'm going to do all I can to share it. So thank you, my friend, for having me, and you are just a great, great example of what's possible for those who dream big and are willing to follow those dreams.